A psychotic congressman named Byron Donalds wants to facilitate Meet Kevin and other scammers to take advantage of you like you've never been taken advantage of before. I was perusing X and I saw a post from a congressman from South Florida named Byron Donalds. Byron McDonald's would be more appropriate as an American. And this guy, he's an African-American gentleman, and he's from South Florida. He likes the Gators. And he has this brilliant idea. He wants to liberate the public from the tyranny of government regulation. Because so far, only rich people have had access to amazing private investments. Only the rich people are able to make a ton of money off of the private markets, hedge funds, and all the other grifts out there. But Mr. Byron, he's not happy about that. He's going to stand up to the evil federal government that has placed unnecessary restrictions on the common man and only allows those for the rich. And you want to know what that is? That is the accredited investor rule. So in the United States, we have this governing body, this regulatory organization called the Securities and Exchange Commission. And we have laws on the books that prevent ordinary investors who make, I believe, under $200,000 a year and have less than $1 million of liquid net worth to be able to invest in private markets. If you want to invest in a company that's, on the stock exchange, well, that company has to go through a bunch of regulatory filings, procedures to make sure that it isn't a total grift and a scam. And sadly enough, even those procedures seem to be pretty weak based on the amount of companies going public that are just total clown shows. But anyway, there's some kind of regulatory oversight. You have to register with the SEC. You have to be compliant in order to have your company listed on public markets. And I believe that is a fantastic thing. The average American is a clueless moron and a dope that should be coddled when it comes to investing. I believe that 100%. Prove me wrong. But rich people that make $200,000 a year or more, which is not rich, oh, by the way, those people have actually additional investment opportunities. So instead of just investing in publicly traded securities, they have the option to invest in private placements, companies that have lower regulatory screening or even none at all. Or they could put their money in hedge funds, which basically gamble. They could do all sorts of crazy stuff in investments that the common man cannot. And that's what Byron Gained, or Byron McDonald's, I don't know why I keep calling him Gaines. That's what Byron McDonald's wants you to be able to do. Well, there's one issue here, okay? Let's think about the favorite YouTube grifter that I always talk about, Meet Kevin. What is Meet Kevin doing? He's launching this investment opportunity called House Hack, which is a company that goes around and scoops up a bunch of undervalued properties, bro, and, refurbishes them and either sells them or rents them out. Meet Kevin has this brilliant idea, and you can invest in House Hack by either, investing in private placements or in buying his little stupid convertible bonds that pay you a yield that's roughly the equivalent of a treasury on an after-tax basis. But whatever. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Meet Kevin wants you to give him money. He wants you to give him a ton of money to be able to do his stupid speculative garbage. And we all know what kind of investor Meet Kevin is. If you think he's a good investor, you're brain dead and you need to never watch my channel again. Go watch me. Go pay Meet Kevin for a course. But Meet Kevin is held back, right, by the Securities and Exchange Commission. He can't just take your money if you're an average man or woman. No, he's got to go through regulatory hoops in order to be able to raise capital from you. Now, you tell me, is it a good thing that Meet Kevin can't just willy-nilly raise money to fund his pet projects and that he has to go through regulations and, faces fines and penalties and all sorts of issues if he circumvents the rules? Yes, it's fantastic. Now, when Byron maybe gets his way, because in the current administration, I believe they would support this, what do you think's going to happen? There's going to be an explosion of grift. There's going to be an explosion of scamming. I mean, think about it. If everybody can just raise money and everybody can invest, guess what? The dumbest people are going to fall the most victim to the most easy scams. People that make more money are, at least on the surface, supposed to be smarter and more aware of investments. I guess overall that's probably slightly true, but there's some pretty dumb rich people too. But that's besides the point. But if you can invest in anything, and there's no limits, and anybody can launch a share issuance or, issue a bond issuance, the amount of grifters and scumbags that are going to take advantage of this is going to be astronomical. You think the scamming is bad now? Right now, Jeremy Lafave can't raise money. Right now, Meet Kevin is stymied. Right now, Graham Steph and all these other clowns can't just take your money. If we get rid of the accredited investor rule, you're going to see the meager savings that the common man has, which should be going into total market index funds and not sold for 30 or 40 years and just held and reinvested in dividends, and should be put in IRAs or 401ks. That money is going to be siphoned away by the grifters, and people are going to lose money. Back in the day before the SEC existed, it was lawless. The amount of scams that happened in like the 20s was astronomical. Go read a freaking history book. It was awful. There was no regulation. You could scam, you could grift, you could manipulate in the market, and there were no consequences. And how did that end, people? That ended in the collapse of the stock market and the Great Depression. I'm not saying it caused it necessarily, but the average man got annihilated and got scammed consistently. And the rich people that were in the know, that could do the grifting, that were smart enough, completely took advantage of the common man. And that's what the SEC was created for, was to protect the common man from financial vultures and hyper-capitalist scum. Because there are a bunch of vultures out there. Go watch YouTube. But you know what? If they revoke this, accredited investor rule, maybe I should raise some money. I'll do a private placement. You invest in strongman stock, and I'll maybe pay you a dividend like 10 years from now. And then, if I use that money to buy VT, what are you going to do about it, huh? That's actually not a bad idea. I might do that. So I don't support Mr. Byron and his stupid idea to roll back investor protections, okay? The protections are good because you are too stupid to invest in private placements. You are too stupid to evaluate the risks that are inherent in all these freaking highly speculative hedge funds or private placement opportunities, and you will get your cheeks clapped, and you will be poor, and you will enrich more frauds and scumbags in the future. So Byron, shut up, you clown. Stop your freaking nonsense. We're not repealing the accredited investor rules, and if we do, I'm gonna go crazy! Anyway, like, subscribe, check out the pinned comment, book a tax consultation. Taxes need to be filed today, or at least an extension. You could pay me last minute and I'll at least get your extension in. Talk to you later. Cheers.